521. I am your host, Keith Andrew. Along here with Jonathan. And Jonathan, I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Glad to be here.
Now the honor's all mine. For people who want to know what my talk show's about, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. It's prove to them you can break the labels. So hashtag break the labels. So that being said, half hour of your time. And starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, I am an actor. I am working towards doing it full time. Currently, I would call myself a part-time professional actor. I'm very heavily involved in music. I'm a singer and I play the cello. Been involved in music my whole life and been acting for quite a while. And I enjoy helping people, so I do a lot of volunteer kind of work and just try to make people's lives better if I can. So that's kind of it's kind of myself in a nutshell.
No, absolutely. Now, the first question I'm going to ask you is, who influenced you to become an actor, and how many years have you been acting?
Well, I'll answer the second part of the question first. I've been acting since I was 9, so almost 20 years now. I would say that was my first role was when I was 9, and it was kind of just on and off here and there. And then I got more involved regularly when I was 14 and doing theater. And then in my early 20s is when I started doing film. And that's kind of where I'm trying to stay now, is doing mostly film and television. Influencing wise, probably one of my favorite actors, two of my favorite actors growing up were, his name just escaped me for the one. Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart was one. And then the other one, the one that I really think influenced me even more, was Michael Landon, mainly because of Little House on the Prairie. I really connected with that show, and I think that was one that really helped me to see, kind of shape my not my style of acting, but just kind of the type of work I like to do.
No, absolutely. And the first guy you mentioned, he's a legend. He's a classic.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
And as far as the other guy, I might have heard of his name, but I'm not really familiar with any of his work.
Okay. Well, Michael Landon was probably, it's hard to say what he's best known for. It's either Little House on the Prairie or Bonanza, TV show from the 60s. And then he also did Highway to Heaven in the 80s. So he did some film work, but he's primarily television, and considered one of the top 100 television fathers of all time for his role as Charles Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie. So he created a lot of his own, like Highway to Heaven was his own show he co-created, and Little House on the Prairie was, he had a lot of influence on, I guess you could say. He was a producer on there, wrote and directed a lot of the episodes himself as well. So he was heavily involved in that side of things, the production side of things, as well as the acting side. But I would say those 3 shows is what he's best known for.
No, absolutely. Now, the next question I was going to ask you is, how do you feel as an actor, how do you feel about social media? Do you think social media can make you or break you?
I think social media, it's one of those things where it all depends on what you do with it. So if you use social media properly and you aren't being one of those people that post a lot of crazy stuff, let's say, then I think it can do very well for you, because you can make a lot of good connections. You can garner a following. And it seems like today, so many people, especially in the independent film world, want to cast actors that have a large social media following. So if a director is looking at 2 different actors for the same lead role in his movie, and one of them has 500 Instagram followers, and the other one has 500,000, then it's a no-brainer for the director, because he figures, I will get a lot more fans and a bigger audience if I hire the actor that has 500,000 followers instead of the one with only 500. So I think in that respect it can help. It can help get your name out there. You find a lot of work through social media. But again, you have to be careful what you're posting. You know, I think personally, as an actor using social media, you should try to avoid certain things like politics as much as possible, because certain people won't want to work with you if they know what your political standpoints are. So I think, or you may just, post stupid stuff. And like, I don't want to work with him. He posts, bad things or whatever. Just doesn't make smart choices with his social media. So I think it depends on how you use it. So I would say, in general, social media is neutral in that sense. It's how you use it that determines if it'll make you or break you.
Now, with that being said, just because someone has 5,000 people following you doesn't mean you're a great actor. Some people say I can't fold my way out of a wet paper bag, but I have hundreds of people that like me. Why, and how does it dictate if people should follow you?
I'm not sure if you're asking the question as far as following you, or if you're asking about being hired as an actor only because based on that. So which question are you asking me?
Well, little of everything. So let me ask you this. Say I have a strong message. Some people with disabilities, you can sell them out to something. And yet I don't have a lot of people following me. But yet you're an upcoming actor and you have 5,000 people following you. Do you think it's the following that outweighs the message, or it's the message that outweighs the following?
Well, I think it should be the message, because ultimately that's what it's about. And I think that when it comes to followers versus the message, like I just said, the message is more important than the followers. And you really need to get people who support your message to follow you and convince other people to do likewise. So I'm not sure if I'm answering that question exactly, but when you touched on the acting portion, what I should have rephrased what I said earlier about between the 2 actors, and that being that if a director is trying to choose between 2 actors for a lead role, both of a good acting ability, they're both equal in their acting ability, they're both really, really good actors, then he's probably going to go with the one that has more followers, because they will get more followers for their movie, their project, because he'll post about it and everything, and they'll get a bigger audience for it, is what I meant to say. So I would be really questioning of a director who chose an actor with a lot more followers, even if he was he was a worse actor. So
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I was just saying, just going to finish up with that and say that any director who chooses an actor with a lot of followers over an actor that's more talented, that actor's making a mistake. But if the actors have the equal level of ability, then they're probably going to go with the one with more followers. That seems to be a trend going on lately.
All right, let's put that theory to the test. Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe was supposed to be Wolverine, but he gave it to Hugh Jackman. No one knew who the hell Hugh Jackman was. He was a nobody. He was an underdog. That's another thing I was going to bring up. It's, never count out the underdog. I'm the underdog. So it's always good to fight your way up. But the point I was making is, Russell Crowe, Gladiator, and all these great movies. He has thousands of people who support him, who love him, but he gave a role that he felt would be a better fit to Hugh Jackman, yet no one knew who he was. And going back to what you're saying, it's you have two great actors, but he has more people who know who he is, and everyone knows him as a singer. You're kind of like, you take a gamble. Sometimes taking a gamble on someone is actually pretty beneficial to both of it because you don't know how it's going to go. For an example, Russell Crowe is a great actor, but he may not been Wolverine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I don't know too much about that particular situation and how that all came about. Although I would say, I would think, I don't know offhand the age difference between, maybe you could tell me how old Hugh Jackman is and how old Russell Crowe is. But I'm thinking part of it might be that Russell Crowe could have felt that he was too old for the part, or who knows what. And they're both, if I remember correctly, they're both from Australia, so they both have a similar background in that respect. So I mean, I can't really speak to that very much because I don't know except how that all came about. But I do know that Hugh Jackman did a lot of musical theater in Australia. And before he got into movies. So he was making a bit of a name for himself in the theater world, I guess. So in that respect, he once he got moving into film, he was already stepping up. I wouldn't say, because again, I'm not sure where he was as far as his films were concerned. How many films he had done in Hollywood before Wolverine came along. So I can't really speak to that very much. But I think his track record also played a part in it as well, looking at his training and like what he's done theater-wise, that his resume would basically speak for itself in a lot of ways too. And of course, going through the audition process and whatnot. And if Russell Crowe did recommend him for the role, then that would play a big part in the director's decision too in casting him, because he went, well, if I got Russell Crowe's recommendation on it and he's turning the role down, then this is a guy definitely worth looking at. So that's what I would say to that.
Now, would you say that someone's resume, he sings, he dances, but he never acts before, but he has the look. He looks like Tarzan, but he sings like Jane. It's like one of those things. But what is the go-getter that says, let's give him a chance? How do you know that person won't flake out?
So you're asking, how do you know that the person won't be a bad actor, even though they're a good dancer? Well, I guess it depends, because you have to look at the work that they've done. I mean, most people who sing and dance do a lot of musicals, and you have to be able to act to do musicals. And in some ways, acting in musicals is more difficult because you have to convey the emotion and bring the character out through music, which for the most part, you're kind of boxed in with what you can do with it, because you have to stick to the tempo of the music and the rhythm, and you can't play around with it as much as you can with just straight dialogue. So in some ways, musical actors have to have even better acting abilities than straight actors in some cases. I feel that sometimes theater or musical actors can also be a little bit over the top a lot because of the environment they're in with stage. So again, I think it boils down to seeing them in audition, seeing their track record and what theater they've done before. A lot of directors that are looking at supposedly or pretty much unknown actors who do a lot of theater will oftentimes go, and same thing for agents who are looking for new actors, will oftentimes go to a show that the person's in and see if they can carry the role or not, and then make their decision then to bring them in for a reading and an audition and kind of see how they do there. And these the films being made, they usually go through very long casting processes. So if you have someone in mind and you're not really sure what their acting ability is and they're a great singer and dancer or whatever, you bring them in and you could go on for like 3 or 4 months doing different read-throughs and auditions and pairing them with different actors and seeing how they do and then making a decision. And ultimately it does boil down to in a way taking a chance on someone that's new because they've never been tested in this medium before at this level. And I think a lot of it breaks down to work ethic. If they have a strong work ethic, if they're a good actor, if they're a good actor, it's because they have a good work ethic and they put a lot of work into becoming a good actor. I think very few actors who haven't had any training are really that good in that sense because they haven't put the work in. I'm not saying that all actors who haven't done any training haven't put any work in, but the majority of actors who have gone through years of acting classes and studied a whole technique, a whole method, have put a lot of work into it, and they'll dedicate themselves to the role.
Now, let me ask you this, because I always ask when I have, an African-American actor or an Asian or Spanish actor on this. I want your opinion, honest opinion. Why is it that most white actors get the roles over minorities? For an example, you look at, like, trying to find what movie recently. Actually, I came up with it now. I had a brain fart. Oh, yeah, Pocahontas. Actually, no, the hell is Pocahontas. Look at Mulan. Mulan was supposed to be played by this beautiful Native American woman, but instead they gave it to the woman from the Avengers. Can't think of her name, but she was the Black Widow.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, just because he has a big name, why are you going to put her in the spotlight than giving someone another chance who deserves it?
I really don't know how to answer that question because I'm not too familiar with why production companies, directors, or whoever would choose to have, say, a Caucasian actor play an ethnic character in a film. I would say for the majority of it, most film companies do use actual ethnic actors to play those specific characters. Now, why they had someone like Scarlett Johansson play Mulan, I couldn't tell you. I haven't seen the movie. I haven't heard anything about it, so I couldn't say anything as far as that's concerned.
All right, now going to another subject. With everything going on in the retail market, do you think the online industry is killing the retail market? For an example, are you the type of person who would walk into the store and shop, or are you the type of person to just sit back and click a button? So, for our viewers, what type of person would you be?
Well, I do both, and I think doing both is important for me because certain things I can get better deals online, so I'll do that. But certain things I will definitely want to purchase in a store because it may have to do with size. So like shopping for clothes or whatever, those kind of things I would definitely do in store so I can fit it and make sure it actually fits me correctly and feels comfortable before I buy it. Other things may not be available in retail stores that I want to purchase, and so I'll do it online because I have more access to those things that you can't find in a lot of stores, or maybe not stores around me. So I would say certain industries have definitely gone by the way of the dodo bird. For example, music stores. Like there used to be record stores way back when, and you go in and you check out records and you buy records. Well, now with iPods and even music stores that sold CDs, those really are kind of excuse me, those are kind of going away now because you have the iPod, and you have like, what is it, Apple Music and Google Music, and everything is digitized, so you can just carry it on your phone, and there really is no need to have CDs anymore or records or anything of that nature. So the stores that would carry those things are going out of business. Similar thing, Blockbusters went out of business. I think it was because people stopped going in to buy movies because they can rent them from Redbox, or they just watch them online or check them out in the library, those kind of things. So I think in some ways, for certain industries, online shopping or making it available through the internet can kill certain things. But there are other things that I don't think will ever solely be online, because you want to be able to try them on before you buy them and things of that nature.
No, I agree with you. There's this new thing, and it's funny because I mentioned it 2 years ago before they're trying to make it into a thing. I said eventually they're going to have a machine where you stick your head in it, like you stick your head in the oven. Yeah, and, you stick your head in a machine and it gives you a haircut, but at the same time, it's kind of like all you need is a computer glitch and constantly have the machine, grind at your head. I would always have a person cut my head, number one, cut my hair. Number two, there's things like you were saying, well, that one out of style, but if you have to look at it, there's certain things that, okay, it went out of style, but 10 or 20 years later, they came back again. Look at vinyl records. Everyone says, doesn't matter if it's an HD or 4K or whatever it is, that you can't get perfect sound. Perfect sound comes from vinyl records. So those are coming back in a big way. For whatever reason it was, Toys R Us dropped the soap on that one for so many years. And hopefully another company will come along and fix it and pick up the ball and run. And it's kind of like there always has to be a toy. You can't tell me, but there's not a kid somewhere that would enjoy one of these. You can play with it. You can create a story about it. You can do whatever you want with it. It will never go out of style. Another thing I can show you real fast is that this actually used to be a wrestling belt. And you can tell on the bag where it fell apart. My dog worked the crap out of it. But now I use it as an ornament. Anyone else would have said they would have thrown it out. But there's certain things that will always be there. You can still market it. There's toys. Toys, I don't care what anyone says. There is a market for it. Because as long as there's an infant, a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old, whatever, or, there's people that just want to relieve some stress, it's always a great market for that. And just saying, as you said, going away on the dodo bird, it's kind of oxymoron, because it's kind of like, yes, with Blockbuster, you're saying, I agree with you, no, this part, but movies, it's a luxury. You can get it on your iPhone, you can leave your house. Well, but let me ask you something. Would you rather pay $70 for a game that you never played before? There was no demos. Would you actually piss away $70? And he gave me fired up. He gave me to pay $70 for a game. You have no idea how good it is, and say, well, I just wasted $70 instead of going to a store and renting it. That's why Blockbuster should have stayed in business. To get rid of the whole movie things, video game rentals could have still been a big thing.
Mm-hmm. What's your question in there?
The point is, it's like you say things are going extinct like the dodo bird, but if you market everything correctly, down to the final detail, it doesn't have to be extinct. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think, again, I don't know too much about that, but I think that uh, to an extent, again, marketing. I think marketing plays a lot in whether or not a product makes it or doesn't. So to that extent, I would say yes, but I don't know that much about retail or things of that nature to really speak to it.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up our talk show segment, one thing I do want to talk to you real fast about, we hinted towards at the very beginning, is social media. Because you are an up-and-coming actor. Does your Twitter, Instagram, MySpace, whatever people use, dictate if you should get a role or not? And what are the websites you would recommend? There's Backstage, there's All Casting. What are your secrets?
Well, as far as social media, I really can't say whether or not my social media helps me get a role or not. I would say I post pretty consistently when it comes to projects I'm doing and things like that. I share what I'm allowed to and that kind of thing, just to help people stay aware. I do have a Facebook page that people can like and follow what's going on, but I don't seem to get a whole lot of work from that. I do think a lot of directors, though, when you submit for a project, in addition to checking out your reel and you're looking at your headshot and resume, I think they will look at your social media. They kind of want to see what you're like in a lot of those respects. So I think it can play a part, but I don't think it will make or break it. If the director's doing what they're supposed to be doing, they will base their decision to cast you or not based on your talent and if they feel you're right for the role in other respects, such as how you look and things of that nature. So that's what I would say. And your second question, I don't use Backstage. I actually use very few casting websites, only because when you're an actor, especially if all you do is acting, I don't. But if the only thing you did was acting, you're probably not making a ton of money. And so being a subscriber to a bunch of different casting sites, you're going to be losing more money than you make. So I don't use Backstage or All Casting. I mainly use Actors Access, and I occasionally use casting networks. That's mainly because my agents, that's how they submit me for different projects. And so that's why I'm on those. Otherwise, I get a ton of roles through Facebook. I'll see casting. I'm a member of a ton of different acting or movie groups, things like that, where people who are making projects will share the casting notices, and so I'll apply through that. And that's the majority of what I'm doing now, just because if you have to pay $2 or whatever for every single submission you make, why do that when you can submit for free? And I found a trend in I wouldn't call it, well, I said a trend, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a trend. But I found on Actors Access and those sites, the majority of projects that I submit to, if I submit to 100 projects on there, I spent $200, and I only get invited to audition for 20 of them. And then out of those 20, I maybe get cast in 4 or 3 or 2 or who knows. You really can't. It's a very hard thing to quantify because there is no prevailing statistic on it. You're not going to say you're going to book 10 out of every 100 films that you audition for. That, I don't think that's a real figure because there's no real way to look at that, because things are constantly changing and different directors have different ideas for what they want, and so I really don't think you can look at it statistically like that. So, but why spend the money in that case when you can audition for a lot of the same projects even through Facebook, and then if you don't get asked to audition on Facebook, then you're not losing any money. And again, I found that I'm actually booking more things or getting more auditions through Facebook and through friends of mine on Facebook than I am on like Actors Access or those things. So in that case, I think social media is important for even just getting auditions to or getting chances to audition.
No, I agree with you. Now, wrapping up our talk show segment, it was a real honor and privilege to have you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road. I just want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Vanessa Lina. Adrian Lalo.
Hi,
This is Cynthia Bass today.
I'm Sonia Fisher. This is Shane Smith.
My name is Alexandra Bowie.
My name is Amelia Clover.
Hi, I'm Amy Linden.
Hi, I'm Anita Nicole Brown.
Meg Green.
Hi, my name is Asata Caldwell.
Hi, buddy. I'm Brooke.
Hi, I'm Brynford.
Hi, I'm Casey Dunn.
Hi, it's Cassandra Kavinsky.
Hi, I'm Christina Briza.
I'm Cindy Hogan.
I'm Courtney Sinello.
Hi, I'm Daisy.
My name is Deborah Jane East.
Hi, my name is Dinah Marcia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria London.
Hi, I'm Heather Krona.
Hi, I'm Heather Callahan Stevens.
Hi, I'm J. Nicole Ralph.
My name is Jamie Petrone.
My name is Julie.
My name is Julia Brankovic.
Kathleen Wills.
Kimberly Amato.
Hi, my name is Laura Putnam.
Hi, I'm Laura Shapanis.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Damas.
This is Michelle Mupo, a.k.a. Fuchsia.
I'm Rachel Olivera.
Hi, my name is Sarah Joy Mount.
Hi, I'm Susan Brender.
Hi, everyone. This is Venus Leone.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Dana.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Herrera, and I was just on the Keith Andrew Network. It was tons of fun. We used up all our time and then some. I really recommend this show, and try to be a guest on Keith's show. It was super fun.